AITA for walking out on the same night my girlfriend yelled at me for bringing up marriage? I, a 32-year-old, did something that might make me the most spiteful person on the planet or the most self-aware. Probably a little of both. I am still processing everything, so bear with me while I get it out. For context, my girlfriend and I were together for 5 years. We met at a friend's wedding. The connection was immediate, and after 2 years, we decided to live together. We built a life side by side, shared an apartment, the same group of friends, the same streaming accounts, and split practically everything, except apparently a common vision of the future. I work as a project manager at a construction company. I have a good salary, a stable career, and decent benefits. I am not rich, but I live comfortably and am responsible with money. 3 years ago, I started saving for a down payment on a house, and in the last 8 months, I was also saving for something else. A ring, approximately $5,500, diamond and princess cut, simple band in white gold, because she always said she did not like flashy jewelry. I researched everything. I asked discreet questions to a friend of hers about the style she liked. I checked her Pinterest boards. I thought I knew exactly what she wanted, but during the last year, I started noting some things. Small comments, changes of subject. Every time the topic of marriage came up in gatherings or casual talks with friends, she changed the subject or cracked a joke to kill the mood. I thought she was just being private. There are people who do not like to talk about those types of steps in public. I respected it until last week when we went to her younger sister's engagement party. Her younger sister had been with her boyfriend barely 18 months, and they are getting married next spring. On the way back, I commented lightly. I said it had been nice and that they looked very happy together. She remained silent. That made me think about us. I continued carefully. I said we had been together longer than many friends who were already married, and that maybe it was time to talk about our own moment, about what we were building. She gripped the steering wheel tightly. "Can we not talk about that now?" she asked. "When then?" I replied. "Every time I try to talk about the future, you cut it off. Why don't you want to talk about that? Why? After 5 years together, don't you think I deserve to at least know where this is going?" That is when she lost her patience. I said I don't want to talk about that. My God, why do you always have to pressure me? Why can't you just be happy with what we have now? I responded, because what we have seems stuck in time. I want to know if we are going towards something real or just occupying the same space. She pulled into the parking lot of our apartment complex and slammed on the brakes. "Do you want to know the truth? I don't know if I want to marry you. I don't know if I want to marry anyone. And honestly, I am sick of you pressuring me every few months, as if there was something wrong with me for not being ready." Pressure? I asked. I asked about our future maybe 3 or 4 times in 5 years. That is not pressure, but it seems so to you. And now I need space. I need you to stop making me feel like I was failing some relationship test. I am not testing you, I said. I am just asking if you see yourself in a future with me. She got out of the car, slammed the door, and headed into the building without turning back. I followed behind. As soon as we entered the apartment, she turned around towards me. "Do you want to know? Maybe we need some time. Maybe you need to understand why you are so obsessed with a piece of paper that doesn't even mean anything." "It means something to me," I replied. "Then maybe we want different things from life," she said. "We want." I always made it very clear what I want. Who avoided that talk all this time? It was you. She exploded. "Leave. I cannot deal with this now. I need you to leave. Go to your brother's house or whoever's. I can't even look at you." I stood there for a few seconds trying to process. 5 years building something that I believed was real, and now she was screaming at me to leave because I asked about our future. "Okay," I said softly. "Okay." "What?" she asked. "Okay, I am leaving with pleasure." She looked genuinely surprised, as if she expected me to argue, to beg her, or to apologize for wanting a future with her. I did none of that. I went to the bedroom, grabbed a gym bag out of the closet, and started packing clothes, toiletries, my laptop, and chargers. She followed me, now less angry and more confused. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I am leaving like you asked." "I didn't mean forever," she stammered. "I just meant for today, so we could cool our heads." "I know what you meant," I said. "But for me, it is over." "It is over? How? Are you breaking up with me over an argument?" "I am breaking up with you because after 5 years, you cannot have a basic conversation about our future without screaming at me to leave the house." That was not an isolated argument. It was a pattern that I had been ignoring for too long. I finished gathering my things. She was crying, but honestly, I no longer knew if it was real emotion or manipulation. After 5 years, I still could not tell one from the other, and that, by itself, already said everything about where we really were. Before walking out the door, I did something spiteful. Maybe the most spiteful thing I have done in my life. I went to the sock drawer where I had the ring box hidden for months. I took out the box, put it on the kitchen counter, and wrote a note on a piece of paper. I dodged a bullet. After that, I left and didn't look back. She called me 14 times that night. I didn't answer any of them. The next day, she sent a text asking if we couldn't talk calmly. I replied only that I would stop by on Saturday to pick up the rest of my things when she was working. I spent that week at my brother's house, and I told him everything. He said he had never liked how she spoke to me at family events, always belittling me, always correcting me in front of others, making little jokes at my expense. These were things that I normalized for 5 years because I thought relationships were just like that. On Saturday, when I went for the rest of my things, I took the ring from the counter and took it with me. Since then, it has been stored in a drawer at my brother's house. I didn't answer anything else. That was 3 months ago. Now comes the interesting part. Last week, I posted an engagement announcement on social media. Not with my ex, but with another person. I reconnected with a woman I knew from college about 6 weeks after the breakup. We always had chemistry back then, but it was never the right time. She was in a serious relationship when I started dating my ex. We lost contact over the years. She wrote to me when she saw that my relationship status had changed. We went for coffee and talked for 3 hours straight. The next week, we had dinner together. After that, we spent practically every weekend together for 2 months. I know it is fast, but when you spend 5 years with someone who makes you feel that wanting commitment is a character flaw, and then you meet someone who talks about the future on the third date, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, you understand. I asked her to marry me last week at a simple dinner. Just the two of us. She said yes before I finished the question. We are not rushing the wedding itself. We are thinking about next fall to have time to plan everything well, but we both know what we want and are not afraid to say it out loud. The problem is the following. My ex's group of friends overlaps quite a bit with mine. So when I posted the announcement, the news reached her in a few hours. My phone started blowing up. Text from her. Are you serious right now? Did you ask someone to marry you after 3 months? You couldn't even wait a year to move on. This is clearly a rebound, and you are going to regret it. Messages from her friends. This is extremely disrespectful to her. You are only doing it to hurt her. She is devastated. A friend even sent. She found the box with the note that night. She knows you were going to ask her to marry you. How did you have the courage to give that ring to another person? I didn't give the same ring to another person. I bought a new ring for my fiancé. Different style, different stone, a ruby, because it is her birthstone. A completely new beginning. My ex's ring is still stored in a drawer at my brother's house. I still don't know what I will do with it. Return it? Sell it? I will decide over time. The calls and messages didn't stop. My ex told everyone that I took her by surprise, that she had no idea things were so serious, and that I threw away 5 years for a single argument. It is funny how she is already rewriting what really happened. I didn't answer anything. I am too happy to enter that drama. But a part of me wondered if I should have handled the announcement differently, maybe published it more discreetly, or given her more time. Then I remember when she screamed at me to leave the house just because I asked about our future, and that doubt goes away. Update 1. 5 days later. Well, folks, things got ugly. I didn't expect the drama to escalate so much, but here we are. First, thanks to everyone who said I am not crazy. Some said that moving on so fast seemed suspicious or that I was already emotionally distant before breaking up. Honestly, maybe I was. When someone runs away from every serious conversation for years, you start putting up walls without realizing it. So, here's what happened since the post. My ex tried to contact me by all possible means. When I didn't answer the messages, she started calling repeatedly. When I ignored the calls, she started sending me direct messages on all possible platforms. When I ignored all that, she showed up at my brother's house. At my brother's house, where I haven't even lived for more than 2 months because I already have my own apartment. She stood there, according to what he told me later, for about 20 minutes ringing the doorbell nonstop. My sister-in-law answered and said I didn't live there anymore. My ex demanded to know what my new address was. My sister-in-law replied that it was not her place to give that kind of information. My ex then accused her of covering for me. Covering for me as if I were some fugitive being hunted. After that, my sister-in-law sent me a message. Your ex is completely out of control. She was crying and screaming, saying you ruined her life. I told her to leave or I would call the police. In the end, she left, but not without first saying she was going to find me sooner or later. That phrase left me genuinely uncomfortable. Find me sooner or later, as if this had turned into a personal mission for her. And the next day, she really found me, luckily not at my apartment. It was at a restaurant where I was having dinner with my fiancé and two friends of ours from college. She entered, looked around, recognized us at the table, and came straight towards us. So, that's her, she said, staring at my fiancé. It is for this woman that you threw away 5 years. I got up immediately. You have to leave now, I said. I need answers first. I need to understand how you could move on so fast. Were you cheating on me all this time? My ex looked at her as if she had been slapped. Excuse me. I am talking to my boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend, I corrected firmly. Since 3 months ago when you screamed at me to leave our apartment just because I asked about marriage. I didn't scream. I was upset. There is a difference, she argued. You ordered me to leave. I really don't know what else she expected to happen, I said to the group. She expected you to come back the next day, to apologize and try to fix things, not to run away and ask the first woman who gave you attention to marry you. The whole restaurant was already watching us. Our friends seemed to be dying of embarrassment. My fiancée remained calm on the outside, but I saw the tension in her jaw. You have to leave, I said without raising my voice. Or what? Are you going to call the police on me too? Just like your sister-in-law threatened. If necessary, yes. She looked at me for a few seconds, then laughed. A bitter, empty, uncomfortable laugh. You changed. The man I dated would never be so cold to me. The man you dated waited 5 years for you to decide if you wanted a future with him. That man no longer exists. She left after that, but not before turning towards my friends and announcing that I was emotionally abusive and that she hoped my fiancé knew what she was getting into. My fiancé handled everything impeccably. She said she trusted me totally and that my ex's uncontrolled behavior said everything she needed to know. Unfortunately, things did not stop there. My ex started contacting members of my family, my parents, my brother again, even my 72-year-old grandmother. She called my mom crying, saying I abandoned her without notice, that I took her completely by surprise. She said she was preparing to say yes to marriage when I asked in the right way and that I never gave her a real chance. My mom called me confused. She said, you never got to ask her to marry you. You only left a ring on the counter and left without talking. Technically, it is true. But why did she scream at me to leave while I was trying to talk about our future? She told my mom, you pressured her all the time. Mom, I explained, I asked about our plan after 5 years together. That is not pressure. It is basic adult talk. After explaining everything calmly, my mom understood, but the fact that my ex was systematically calling my family to tell her version left me genuinely alarmed. She also tried direct contact with my fiancé. She found her profile on social media and sent her a huge message. It said something like, you deserve to know who you are getting involved with. He doesn't know how to communicate. He makes huge decisions without talking. He is going to abandon you the second things get difficult, just like he did with me. You need to know who he really is before it is too late. My fiancé showed me the message. To be honest, we both laughed together. After that, she blocked her on everything. But what really angered me happened the next day. My ex contacted my work, called the main office, and asked to speak with me about a personal matter. When the receptionist said I was busy in a meeting, she left a message saying she needed to discuss shared assets and possible legal issues. I have no shared assets with her. The lease was always only in her name. Our bank accounts were always totally separate. I don't owe her a single dime, but she was clearly trying to create the impression that I did. The intention was obvious, to make my work think there was some legal problem arising, to paint me as someone problematic in the work environment. I had to talk to HR and explain the whole situation. They were understanding but asked me to resolve my personal matters outside of working hours, as if I had control over what she was doing. I didn't answer any of that. I didn't enter the chaos, and I didn't feed the drama. Still, It is exhausting being harassed by someone who literally ordered you to leave her life. Update 2. 9 days later. Final update, because I think finally this is coming to an end after a few completely chaotic weeks. After my last post, things still escalated one more time before starting to improve. My ex apparently decided that if she couldn't reach me directly, she would try to act through our mutual friends. She organized a gathering at her apartment, a casual gathering, according to her. She invited 6 people who were friends of both of us over the years. Obviously, they didn't invite me, but one of those friends was much more loyal to me than to her. He sent me a text warning me, "Brother, just so you know, your ex called a bunch of people tonight. I am almost sure she is trying to get everyone officially on her side. Thought you should know." I thanked him for the warning, but didn't give it much importance. She could say whatever she wanted to our friends. The truth always comes out sooner or later. It turns out the gathering had much less of a casual atmosphere and was more like a trial. According to my friend who was there, she spent the whole night systematically painting me as the villain of her life. She said I was emotionally unavailable, that I had a sick obsession with marriage, that I abandoned her without notice, and that I flaunted my new relationship just to hurt her as a form of revenge. She also took out the ring dramatically. She showed photos of it on the counter with the note next to it. She talked about how cruel and insensitive it was to leave it there that way, about how traumatic it was to discover I planned to ask her to marry me while at the same time I was leaving. What she conveniently omitted was the most important part, that she literally screamed at me to leave that night, that she said she didn't know if she wanted to marry me after 5 years together, and that she called marriage a piece of paper that means nothing. My friend confronted her during the gathering. He asked directly why I had left so abruptly that night. She said it was because of a small disagreement about timing. He asked very specifically if she had ordered me to leave. She replied no, not seriously, and alleged that I had exaggerated. But the problem with having friends who really know you and pay attention is that some remember the important things. Another friend present at the gathering spoke up. She reminded everyone that a year earlier, at a mutual friend's birthday dinner, someone asked my ex about marriage, and my ex had literally said, "Honestly, I don't know if I ever want to get married. I don't see much point in it." The atmosphere got heavy immediately. My ex tried to backtrack desperately, said she was joking, that she exaggerated, and that she was going through a difficult stage at that time, but the damage was already done. People started asking more direct questions. Why exactly did she order me to leave? Why did she say she didn't know if she wanted to marry anyone? Why was she acting as if I had surprised her completely if she had been avoiding the topic for years? She didn't have good answers. The gathering ended earlier than planned, with people leaving visibly uncomfortable. Afterward, my friend sent me a full summary of everything. She clearly expected everyone to unite in support of her. The idea was to officially paint me as the villain. The effect was the opposite. Most left confused or uncomfortable. One of them even said, "Maybe you really had a valid reason to leave." Since that night, things calmed down a lot. My ex stopped trying direct contact with me. I think she finally realized that the campaign to turn me into the villain was not working. When you have to explain your version of the story to each person individually, and still nothing fits well, the inconsistencies start to become obvious. She made just one more attempt at contact. She sent me a long email about 3 days ago. It was different from previous messages. Less anger and more sadness, I would say. She said she had been thinking a lot and reflecting, above all. She said she knew she had handled that night badly, that she didn't really want me to leave forever, that she was afraid of commitment due to her parents' complicated divorce when she was 9 years old, and that she had been dealing with it internally without ever having told me. She said she would have liked it if I had given her more time to understand herself, that she was finally ready to have the honest talk that I had been trying to bring up for years, and that she was willing to do therapy, face her fears, and try for real. Then she asked if there was any possibility of us starting over. I didn't answer for 2 days, not because I was considering it, but because I needed to choose exactly the right words. In the end, I replied, "I appreciate you sharing all this with me. I understand you are hurting, and I understand that commitment really is something that scares you. But the truth is the following. You had 5 years to have that honest talk with me. You chose to avoid, deflect, minimize. And in the end, scream at me when I tried to talk about it directly. I cannot build a future with someone who only decides to work on things after I have already left. I am engaged now to another person, and I am genuinely happy. I wish you the best in your life. But there is nothing to resume between us. Please, stop contacting me, my family, and my fiancé. This is the last response I am going to give. I sent it. Immediately after, I blocked her number, her email, and all her social media accounts. That was 5 days ago. Since then, absolute silence. Finally, my fiancé and I are doing very well. We already officially started planning the wedding. My family adores her. Her family adores me. Everything feels right in a way it never felt before. I am not going to pretend that the last 3 months were not chaotic and emotionally exhausting. They were. Discovering that a 5-year relationship can collapse because of one honest talk is something that disarms anyone. Realizing in retrospect how much I had been accepting less than I deserved truly hurts. Seeing someone try to rewrite history in real time to put themselves as the victim is frustrating on a level difficult to explain. But I also learned something important from all this. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. My ex spent years showing me that she couldn't talk about the future without stalling or running away from the topic. I kept waiting for her to change on her own at some point. She didn't change, and when I finally decided to stop waiting indefinitely, she acted as if the problem was me. The ring I bought for her is still stored in a drawer at my brother's house. Next week, I am finally going to sell it. I am going to put the money into our wedding fund. It seems like a fitting closure for this chapter. Some people will probably think I moved on too fast. Others will think I was too harsh leaving the ring with that note. Others will say I should have given her one more chance to find herself, but I spent 5 years giving chances. I am completely exhausted from that now. Thanks to those who followed all this up to here. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being genuinely happy without someone who never knew how to value what they had. Comment. I hope this story reminds you that your peace of mind is worth more than any relationship that makes you question your value. Setting boundaries is not about being cruel, but about protecting your emotional well-being. Honest communication is the foundation of love, and you deserve someone who is willing to build that with you. Never let the fear of starting over keep you trapped in a place where you are not appreciated or heard. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is pack your bags, walk away, and choose a different path for your future. It is inspiring to see how true happiness can bloom when we finally let go of what was holding us back. Notice how calmness and silence are often the most powerful responses to chaos and drama. You owe it to yourself to be with people who celebrate your presence rather than simply tolerate your existence. Trust your instincts when they tell you it is time to leave, and believe that better days are waiting for you. May you always have the courage to choose your dignity and find the love that feels like home. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.